what's happening is I'm her first loss. So I'm not, anytime we building, anytime we out here building, it's not about bringing each other down or nothing like that. It's about dealing with that beast, you know what I'm saying? You see our brother Tahuti, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all about dealing with the real beast. They locked him up, they got him, God bless him. I don't feel sorry because you know what we dealing with. We dealing with that creature and you don't belong in that situation, period.
If it was ever a good time that I could just roll the streets and never hold a beef, if there was ever a bad time, long as we just stick together, we would set a better tone on the streets. I know the TV's right on time. Ain't no masquerades and no never games to play. It be the new pastime. It be the new pastime. If it was ever a good time that we could just live in peace and didn't kill our peeps. Ain't no more walking around blind. Ain't no stopping, it's the consciousness, the dropping, helping people to see. If we could live in the sunshine without being a slave, free from all stress and hate, would that be the last sign?
Peace and Black Power, family. Welcome to another Saltletter TV House of Consciousness production. I sit here with my little brother. He came through to talk to his brother today, his big brother today, Saltletter. And of course, the mic is always open for my brother, Rawyal. Rawyal, a lot of y'all probably don't know, this brother is a powerful writer, a drawer. He knows how to get it in on the mic. Go to his page and check out what he's talking about, what he's rapping about. The brother is fire. Peace. Peace and Black Power, family. Welcome to another Saltletter TV House of Consciousness production. I stand here with my young brother, Rawyal. Rawyal is definitely an up-and-coming artist. A lot of people need to get to his station. What's your station first, brother?
Yeah, RoyalMusic.com.
Y'all need to see that. And I always tell my brother he needs to stick with the music. Let's debate. Stick with the music. And you can do teaching like what we're doing right now. Don't be so quick to want to jump in the ring, brother, because you got a lot to offer the people. You don't need to get shut down early, but you do have a lot to offer to the people, especially with your music. You got some real beautiful music, brother. I wish you could have brought Polite down, but hopefully I can have you opening up for this joint that I'm dealing with today. I mean, not today, but I'm doing something soon, and I can have you open up that song that I like. That's gonna be real powerful. So I want to see what my brother got to bring to the people right now. Let's say peace and black power to our brother Rawyal. Peace, brother.
Yeah, salute, family. Was good. Okay. Sheesh. You know what you need to do, man, or what we got to do overall? We got to do one of those like recaps of your last season. Like pretty much bring everybody who was involved with last season, and kind of recap so you can start the new season.
That's exactly what we're doing. That's what that big
okay.
Writing the names down as we speak.
Okay, yeah, that'll be perfect, So you already know I gotta be through it for that because we had some major events last year. But as for me, I had to chill for a minute, not chill, but I had to step to handle some other business. But it's going to help a lot of people because you get a lot of brothers who have a lot of information dealing with the court system, and there's some tricks that they have. That no matter how much information you deal with, or no matter how much information you have, there's just some simple tricks that get overlooked and wind up catching regular people out there. So what I'm able to do is I'm capturing every nook and cranny, documenting it, and I'm gonna definitely bring it to the House of Consciousness, definitely bring it to to the family, just so they can see it. And things like signature forging, where I beat the case. I won the case. I think we was talking about this briefly before, and I won the case. But the magistrate and they didn't want to give me my paperwork because she's been burying families since like 1983, and what's happening is I'm her first loss. So I'm not anytime we out here building, it's not about bringing each other down and nothing like that. It's about dealing with that beast. You know what I'm saying? You see our brother Tahuti, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all about dealing with the real beast. They locked him up. They got him. God bless him. I don't feel sorry because you know what we dealing with. We dealing with that creature, and you don't belong in that situation, period. But much support to him. Whatever we could do to help him, definitely help him. But that's who the real, debate. That's what it's all about, getting sharp for those people, getting sharp for the system for real. So pretty much it's one of those battles where it's the Hydra is what I call it. And I crushed it so bad that I need you to come. It's a news situation. They asked me, New York One, all the different news stations is already ready to come out. They asked me to send them the information and just to close it out. So it's one of those things where that is what I was dealing with. And just to come back and get a quick update, just on the strength of what's going on when I check into regular news, check into U.S. news, and what they doing in Detroit is crazy. That's an act of war by cutting off the water. That's definitely an act of war. So if you out there and you got a burner and you out there and you were gangbanging and all that, I'm going to tell you what you need to do is you need to gather your troops and you need to go to that water station. You need to go to your politicians out there and you need to stand there, you need to stand in front of them and go in front of their offices, go to where they live at. And make your voice heard.
Activists in Detroit have appealed to the UN over the city's move to shut off the water of thousands of residents. The Detroit Water Authority says half of its 323,000 accounts are delinquent. It has begun turning off the taps of those who do not pay bills that total above $150 or that are 60 days late.
We're trying to work with people more aggressively, let's put it that way, to try to get them either on payment plans or to get them paid, and it has worked. It has. We've increased our. We've lowered our debt a little bit by doing that.
Yeah, you know what? But they pretty much are going to cut off the water in certain areas in Detroit. Like, imagine they cut off the water in Harlem. Because Detroit is a little bigger than Harlem, but imagine if they cut off all the water supply in Harlem. So pretty much they did this a few years back in Chicago. I was out in Chicago, and before I was into the basic information or whatever like that, a young brother had walked up to me. He was like, "Hey, listen, you see this building right there? It was like a project building. Think of like the Polo Grounds. Think of like any project building out here in New York." And he points to the projects, and he says, "Listen, they connected the water system to the sewer system. So anytime somebody was cutting on their water to take a regular shower, sewer water was coming out. You cut on your water to drink, sewer water was coming out. And what that was doing was to push the people out of the project so they can use it for condos or whatever. So pretty much they're using that same tactic now in Detroit. And what that did to Chicago is that forced most of the black population into smaller areas, into different areas, and Chicago's filled with different type of gangs. And think of like one gang living exactly next door. Before they had to drive to the area, now they living on top of each other in whole areas. Just imagine Harlem being gentrification to times 10. So
we're told that it's anywhere from 3,000 per month to 3,000 per week. It is historical for the Detroit Water and Sewage Department to not give its residents information, but at our offices at Michigan Welfare Rights, we are getting 30 to 40 calls an hour where people are saying, I either have a water bill and I'm afraid that my water's about to be cut off, or my water has already been cut off. What can you do to help us and give us some information? So it is scandalous, and we live in the Great Lakes. And to have water threatened, and people told that if your bill is $150 or more, you're on a block, a chopping block, where your water is going to be turned off. In Michigan, it is particularly egregious because a household that has welfare involvement and water is turned off with minor children in a home means that protective services can come in and take the children out and put them in foster care. And in a foster care home, you can earn more money as a foster parent than you can as a birth mother. It's just scandalous what's going on in Detroit, just scandalous.
So what they did was they pushed all the black community on top of each other, even if they was conflicting with each other, and that caused more gang wars. Now, the thing about how I feel about people who claim to be gangsters or whatever the case is. You can't be a gangster if they pushing you and your family out of your hood. You know what I'm saying? They can't push you out of your hood and you claiming to be a gangbanger or a gangster because, like, who you fighting against? Like, why they going to war with you? You going to war with each other? Like, you killing your troops. So, to me, like, the whole mentality of what a gangster is reversed. It's something is wrong with it. So, if you in Chicago and you still banging and killing each other, you need to correct that because, listen, one of the key things I was told when I was out there was that that the mob is more respected than the government out there. So if the mob is more respected than the government out there, it's simply because the mob was actually fixing the buildings up where the government wasn't. So the people got more respect for the mob out there, but the mob used their strategies to push the people out along with in cahoots with the government, and they put so much pressure on the black neighborhoods that now you get the results of every week, every month you hear about the killings out there, and it's ridiculous. It's so sad and ridiculous that these like 12-year-olds got AKs and all different type of arsenals, and they using it against the wrong people. So in Detroit, they preparing them to do the same thing, to wipe each other out so they could kind of push them in there. And my message to Eminem and all the other artists that's in Detroit right now. Eminem is sitting in the middle of Detroit, and he said it, he got his $1 million studio, probably over $1 million studio, sitting in the heart of Detroit. But he's going to set up to do battles, for, some of our good brothers to go at each other. Right now, Eminem is tied to Dre. Eminem is tied to multi-millionaires, and billion-dollar companies. Now, and you sitting in the heart of Detroit as Detroit crumble. Wouldn't it make sense to get some of that money to fund and help the people of Detroit? Wouldn't it make sense for some type of, like, you can't be in the heart of all of that and do nothing about it and be sitting on that much money and be associated with that many people? Like, to me, it's a backwards move. Like, the last thing you hear Eminem say is like, I want to see the brothers battle until somebody quit. Like, I don't respect that. Like, I want to see, listen, as an artist, as a recording artist, the competitive edge is always something that we love to see and do, but at this point, Detroit is in a state of war. It's a state of war out there, and you got them distracted and playing games. We can't do that. So that's on with that. That's how I feel about that. With the Detroit situation. So all you dudes out in Detroit, if y'all got y'all minds right, or find somebody. The matter of fact, SETI is out there, I believe. SETI is out there. SETI, you need to get on your job. Figure out who these dudes are, because you said you was dealing with them before, and y'all need to really go hard and find out where those politicians live and stand out there before they cut off that water. Because if they actually cut off that water and continue on what they're doing, then y'all pretty much we're gonna say Detroit is off the map. But we don't need it's too many of y'all out there to let that go down. And another thing is they had something with the bringing trading the hostage. So they trade the hostage out here for some Hamas. They trade the hostage for some Al Qaeda or whatever, right? So check this out. Now, what I need y'all to understand about that hostage situation and all these things that's going on, you got to pay attention to the games that's being played, because it's really important, because they setting up the volley for the next president, for the next politician to come in and body your children. They setting up a good volley, and they setting it up for that 2020 from 2017 to 2020 to really bring in that World War III situation. They setting all the pieces up, and the children that's going to be about 17 is going to be a wipeout. So what they doing is they going off of false information, fake news. Now, one of the easy ways to realize that it's fake is when they was getting a hostage, right? When they was exchanging the American hostage from Afghanistan, Bengal, I forgot his name exactly. What they did was, you got to realize, when they first got him, there's footage of him that we can hopefully post up. There's footage of when they first took him. He had I don't grow a full beard, but he had like a little goatee. His goatee was in a little crew cut, right? Now, the men that took him don't believe in shaving. So they got full beards, mustaches, their hair is wild and all that, right? All right, this is the American hostage that was exchanged recently. There was an American hostage that was exchanged. Yes, exactly. So now,
Peace, family. I hope y'all appreciate Sonetta TV Street News right now with Brother Royale, because you're not going to get the real facts from watching television. You know, they all working together, and they're going to confuse the hell out you right now. So I hope y'all appreciate my brother Royale coming to bring this information, facts and proof and evidence to y'all right now. I want you to deal more about that, brother, but right after you deal with that, can you go in on a little bit of what happened with the Africans as well when they took them women? Remember the girls? I want you to go into that too and deal with that after you finish dealing with this important topic here too.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of fun going on for them right now. Okay, so now realize, like I said, the man had a goatee. He had a crew cut. The men who took him had full hair, so forth and so on. Now look. When they went and got this man, this is, let's just say over a year passed, maybe 2 years passed. They get the man. He still got a goatee and a crew cut. The problem with that is, if you don't have a shaver, what's going to happen is when you don't shave, it would have came in like his hair should have been full, wow, and his mustache and beard should have been fully grown and fully grown in. That's one giveaway. That's a real simple giveaway. That how is he cutting his hair? These men don't got shavers. These men they don't got Bic. They don't got to deal with Bic. So this man, when they get him, he still have a clean shaven face, and his hair is still cut low. Another giveaway, when they searched him. Now this is a thorough search. These are trained special units going to pick this man up on a highly sophisticated helicopter that they picking him up on. When they stop and pick him up, they search him. They do what they call a thorough search, front, back. Think about going into the club, all right? So realize the giveaway is he has a bag in his hand, right? Now, when you're going through the airport, one of the things that they do is, what they do, they search your bags. So now realize they're doing a thorough search of him. They never search his bag. He gets closer to the helicopter. They thoroughly search his body again, never search his bag. Now realize there was a shoe bomber, there was an underwear bomber. So bombs are not, they don't got to come in suitcases or big complicated equipment. They could come in a simple plastic bag, which he had. So now realize this. He gets on a helicopter with an unsearched bag. Is another giveaway to if they was really concerned about security and safety, they would have checked that bag, which they never did. They never checked his bag, and this same individual is clean cut, shaved, or whatever. It's things like that you got to realize that tie into the propaganda of getting you ready, preparing you for the next war, because this war is the 9/11 war. And that was meant to last one generation, which is 20 years. So from 2001, that is supposed to go last till about 2020. So now, as this war and the belief, obviously the energy of the 9/11 is dying out. So he's setting you up for the next one. With the Israel, with the African children, which we're going to talk about right now. So that's dealing with the Bengal, with the wrapping up with the hostage that just was recently exchanged, that they was giving Obama a hard time over, which was a bunch of BS anyway. Now the deal with the African girls that was recently supposedly had taken or whatever, right? Now, one of the key things is you still got to think about the Coney situation and the Africans who completely said that was a false story. Now, they've been trying to figure out another way to get into Africa. Not now, like any other nation, we got this corruption in it. But at this point, when you get these 300 African schoolgirls that are supposed to be taken right now, realize right before this, there's a plane missing. Nobody found that, but you're going to find 3 small people. You're going to find 3 small children. Now, this story right here is unique because they was trying to say this group Boko Haram had took them. Now, if the group Boko Haram, is Boko Haram took these children. Now the thing is, what they're doing is they're tying the Boko Haram propaganda. What they're doing is they tying them into the Al Qaeda. So it's the same setup of sitting and the AK sitting beside him. It's a reminder, and it's like a echo of 9/11. All of this is echoes of 9/11 to carry on until we can get to the next war, which is said to be like a world, to finish up World War III. But what it is just an echo. So that whole Boko Haram story was just a fake Al Qaeda mimic group, but they needed to put black faces on it. It's just Al Qaeda in blackface. So pretty much that whole story is just fabricated. It's sad because when I come across some of the Nigerians, they tell me that's all crap, and they look at me like, you don't believe it, do you? And I hope you don't believe it. And I see, anytime you get a bunch of celebrities back in the story. Anytime you get a bunch of celebrities back in the story and you see the president's wife, holding up, get the girls back, there's games being played because, at the same time, so many stories we have about children being missing here.
Do you think they already assassinated them kids yet? I know they doing a little bit of that. They raping them. They doing all kind of crap.
Well, first you got to think, are those people that they said that the children are missing, are they actors or actresses? So might not even be no children missing is what the problem is. Like, who can verify that? Because the people that they're interviewing, all you got to do is be around the Nigerians, and they look at these news stories that's on CNN, and when I'm around them and they looking at the stories, they like, what is this? Like, it's one of those things where how difficult is it to grab somebody in hard times and say, hey, listen, we just need all y'all to stand here and a couple of you guys to cry. That's not a difficult thing to do. None of these stories can be verified by anyone except the one who's fabricating the story.
Now, if Professor Larry was standing here with you right now, he would kind of dispute what you're saying. Because he really believed the story. He was doing a little research on it, and Larry's saying that the story is true. That is, they really did take them girls.
Well, if you look at the captors, right? All this researching for these people and all this sophisticated technology that we have, right? But they're putting up internet clips. like who's posting YouTube clips? This is impossible. Like, how do you got a YouTube channel and they can't find you? All right? There's things where when you post a video, it knows exactly where you posted it from. It can locate your computer from the exact location. So you can't be posting videos about I captured these people when I'm in a secret tunnel and come on, man. Salute to Brother Larry and anybody out there who's into studying and anything like that. But I don't need y'all. I don't want y'all to feed into the story. I don't want y'all to feed into to the illusion. Yes, there is a high concern because there are people that are being mutilated and killed. But trust me on this one, and a lot of other ones. Trust me on a lot that is definitely something that is just meant to propagate an invasion of Africa, because you got to realize what they're doing is surrounding Africa. They're surrounding Africa because you got to realize South Africa was already semi-conquered, and what the Africans in South Africa, what we call so-called South Africa, is they're rebelling. They're chopping off heads. They doing a lot to take their land back. So now you got Egypt, right? So that's the top. You got the bottom, Egypt with Israel. They're all the coalition blitzing on Egypt. Then you got Central Africa, the Congo. Then you got Mali. So what they're doing is they surrounding Africa to try to cut off the ports. That's one of the first things they did here in the States. That's one of the first things they did here with the Indians and the Americas, right? They cut off the ports. So once you cut off the ports, you cut off support that you can get from anybody who would come in to help to help any of the countries that would need our assistance. So obviously, if you can't even get in, they got to kind of fend for themselves. So That's one of the main things, to trap them off, choke off the continent. Luckily, the continent is rich enough where they don't need too much help. But that's one of the stories where you can go for it. You can't go for it because all of that is propaganda. The Congo is getting blitzed on heavy. They sent immediately when they said the girls were missing 300 troops, 300 advisors, and as soon as they sent the advisors, bloodshed. Bloodshed and vaccinations and more sickness. Everywhere they send these 300 military advisors. I'm gonna tell you what a military advisor is. It's a man with a bullet, with a gun, putting a bullet in your head, or a man with a gun putting some disease in your, throughout the people. It's nothing. The advice is get down or lay down. That's the advice that the military people are giving. It's a lot of business men and women that that are walking that fine line between selling out and doing business. First, they have to understand that these corporations, I think we discussed a fraction of this before, and now just so happened that Dame Dash wind up calling out Leo Cohen. Last conversation I had, I believe, on a reparations video with Sabir, I kind of mentioned that Leo Cohen had a sit down with the Prime Minister of Israel. You got to understand how important that is, because this is hip hop. This is like us, just battle rapping and making songs and our little basements and our little laptops, and all of a sudden you got the Prime Minister of Israel and they're having a major discussion with a record exec. Every dollar that these labels are getting are going back to foreign nations, because all of these labels are foreign entertainment banks, which are owned by foreign entities. So now what happens is the investors, the financiers, they come to check on their money. And so happened that, you got Universal, you got all the different labels. They're just banks. So as the financiers come to check up on their money, they're get an assessment of what else needs to be done. It's a lot of beautiful people out here, so they get an assessment. So now when Leo Cohen is talking to the Prime Minister of Israel, realize, these hip hop dollars and these music dollars are going back to fund Israel. It's going back to fund wars. It's going back to fund projects that are meant to still bring you down and to bring your children down. So when you ask, is there a division? Is there sellouts? Yes, we have documented proof that date back to the 60s and the 70s, where FBI informants came out already and said, listen, we infiltrated, black culture on purpose because your music is so important to your people, because it's a fast way of communication. Hip hop is viral. There was a report a few years back when a man from Europe went to Africa. He visited Africa, and some military people seen that Tupac's face was on was painted on as a mural on the side of a shanty town shack. Now, realize the importance of Tupac is from the States, from America. Now, when they seen his face painted on the side of a shack in Africa, they was like, you got to realize Tupac mother, and he's associated with the Panthers. Now there's conversations that they already knew before we heard the Tupac conversation about how he wanted to do things to pull a community together, right? Now realize the FBI already heard these tapes. We just hearing them 20 years, however many years after Tupac's death. So they already heard these tapes and they already knew, like, this is a problem. Because if one of these artists says revolution now, and that song becomes really popular, guess what happens? That's a global reaction, because there's people that, like, these European children love our music. So they might even assist the Africans. They might even assist in bringing the system down. So, and there's so many Africans and blacks throughout the globe, and this music is so important to so many generations to come, that they knew that infiltrating hip-hop was key to keeping us distracted and keeping us off the mark. Now, I wouldn't say you could expect like a Jay-Z to all of a sudden become a super revolutionary artist, even though if you listen to his music, it's really coded, and if you understand codes, he's saying a lot of powerful things or whatever. But nowadays everything is so simplified that if you code it too much, they're going to miss the message, and they probably won't get it until they're about grown, and the problem is already too far gone. So do we have sellouts? I wouldn't say sellouts. I think there's more FBI and federal agents in music that are successful than actual artists. So they're not, just random talent. They're just actual federal agents that are pretending to be artists and to keep this game going and to perpetuate the madness. So you go like this. What happens in New York is most of the businesses are here. Most of the labels are here in New York and California. So most of the labels are here in New York. What happens in New York? Yeah, definitely. Water too. Yeah. What happens in New York is this. You got the labels in New York, and what was going on. What was happening in New York is the labels were being threatened by artists that weren't happy with their contracts. So when you get if you hear in downtown Manhattan and you got a problem with somebody in the Bronx and they run up in your label and what was happening, they was beating up A&Rs, they was waiting for A&Rs and executives downstairs, and it was to a point where they was shooting at them, and then I think it kind of escalated when 50 got his deal. They was shooting at the Chris Lighty office. New York was eating itself alive, all right? Because when these executives, most of the artists didn't understand the deals that they had. They didn't understand that they was, that they was being owned, and they was, they didn't understand the contracts, and the only way they knew to get out of the contract is thug out of it, like bust your way out. So now you got to realize the executives smartened up. What they said is, you know what? I can't stop the dudes from the Bronx from surrounding my building because, I was there. 20 dudes is downstairs waiting for whoever to come downstairs. 5-6 dudes go upstairs and, beat up a few of the executives and mess up the office. So now what they said was, you know what? They start giving deals to people in Houston. They start giving deals to people in the Carolinas, in Atlanta, because by the time disgruntled artists from one of these states make it through the airport, they done caught wind of it, and they like, I could be out of the office by the time he gets through the airport because somebody's going to tell. So they start giving deals to people outside of New York. So it wasn't like New York music was bad. It's just the artists in the corruption, kind of start eating at itself to a point where they start giving other people money. That whole, like you were saying before, the whole not just the Carolinas, but the whole Southern movement, that's how they've been like that for a while. Like, their music really haven't changed. That bounce music and all of that trap music, that haven't changed really. They just finally got backing. They finally got, money behind them. So what's happening is, I would say now, because a lot of the brothers that do call and do get messages from, and I think you got to attest to this, that a lot of the people that are reaching out are really from those states, like Alabama, Atlanta, the Clevelands. A lot of different states now are really looking for the information because music has the music has failed them, So whereas the goal with music is to pass that message, to pass the information. Like, let me tell you what's going on. So that's why they pretty much, when you're saying like, what's going on as far as with these southern states and how they living, it's a 50-50 thing. Half of them, they never got a check before. So not only did they never get a check before, but at the same time, it was done on purpose to neutralize the New York thug, gangster, wild out, beat you up mentality. And I think New York and California is humbled enough where they're now able to actually sit down and realize and talk business.
All right, brother. So in closing, man, what is your last closing remarks, man, for the people? Your camera went off too. So in closing, what is your last closing remarks for the people, man? Give them some good word of advice.
Oh man, please get your filters up. Keep your filters up. There's a lot of things going on that is right in front of your face. You know, it's these things that are so simple that you might ignore it because you think it's nothing. You know, our language, that's important. Now, some of the things that I was telling you, you know, the definition of America, how that ties to reparations, you know, how reparations ties to stopping or slowing down World War III. Stopping or slowing down World War III, then you got to be prepared for what they also perpetuate in this Civil War. So, realize Civil War, you know, where I say which one, who's going to be the enemy if you got that. Because now you're going to have the black-white division thing again. Who are you going for, you know, with the Civil War? So now, Tom, the reason why I'm pushing for reparations so hard is because the money that they're using to fund the ships and to buy all different types of weapons of mass destruction and buy these drones and all of that, that's your money. So every dollar that you turn down, they spend it. And then by the time you get hip to it, your children are grown and they draft your children to go to a war that you could have prevented or slowed down. So as soon as we start talking about reparations, they're going to start bringing up a lot of chaos. You know, my message hasn't changed since from the intro. So I'm telling you, reparations is key to slowing down or possibly neutralizing World War III, which is the 2017-2020 real push. Now, just know, on top of that, the Civil War, an American Revolution is their plan B. Plan B, to have you so confused and fighting against one another that you forget that it's the banks and the International Monetary Fund that are funding these wars, and they're the ones that everything is that it's all about. So. To some of the brothers out there that's having these discussions about doing anything other than talking about reparations and how we can use the information that we all have to get us out of the system, to defend ourselves from these system and this beast that we always talk about banging on. I'm gonna say I'm getting the body bags ready. I'm getting the body bags ready. I've been chilling because I'm dealing with the real beast, and I'm using the information, and I'm proving, and I have the proof that the information alone is crushing them. But also basic common sense, simple common sense it baffles them, because when they see one of us with the basic common sense and enough information to counter their information, they stuck. They don't know what to say or do. So I'm gonna say to you, keep studying, keep sharing the information, keep building, and just please stay focused. Keep your filters. Be able to filter what's nonsense and just get rid of it fast. Do not fall for too much what we call shucking and jiving. Definitely, we're going to build some more. I'm still wrapping up that other information. I'm still wrapping up the other information that I was dealing with. So, and of course, maybe when we do the wrap up of season 1 or whatever season we're going to call the other season, we could deal with everything else from the AOCs and all, ISUPKs and all of that. But salute to everybody who's still building. Salute to the Israel Doctrines and Brother Reggie's and Shakas and the Polites, and salute to, of course, Sonetta TV, House of Consciousness, Black News 102. Check me out if you feel like you want to know what's going on with me, and just to stay updated, you can always hit me on the Facebook, Reef Royale, or RoyaleMusic.com, Hip Hop in the Raw, all the different channels. But if you go to RoyaleMusic.com, pretty much that ties to all my different channels, RAWYAL Music.com. And, I look forward to building with you guys again, real soon.
All right, peace and black power, my brother. Thank you for taking the time out to build with Sonetta TV, giving the people some of this street news that they need to know. We look forward into this information, my brother, so I say peace and black power to you. All right.